Hi, and welcome to part 3 of manofmuchmetal.com on YouTube. We're in the middle of coronavirus. It's snowing outside intermittently, mixed in with a bit of hail. The dog's been walked, so frankly, what else is there to do? So I may as well just crack on and do a few of these. So bad luck for you guys. But thank you for tuning in if you have so far. My last piece to camera was an overview of some of the early years, some of the stuff that I used to like when I first got into music properly. So now I want to take you on to the part, or the next stage really, with another 5 albums that kind of chart my progress from the likes of Queen and ELO, as I discussed before, right through to the stuff that I listen to today. So I remember sitting in the car one day, in the back of the car with my brother, who was also sort of getting into rock music at the time as well. He's a couple of years younger than me. I actually remember saying to him, I cannot imagine a time where I will like a band like Iron Maiden or anything like that. It's just too heavy. Don't like it. Oh, shudder, shudder. This is probably my Bon Jovi years. I'd heard a couple of Oasis tracks as well on the radio and stuff, and just feeling my way around. I don't like Oasis, by the way, just to put that out there. However, I went to a record shop in Ipswich in the days when there were so many record shops, you didn't know which one to go to first. And there was Virgin and HMV open, we had an Andy's Records. There was Rex Records, which was an independent shop, and then we had a place called Out of Time Records, which was a second-hand shop. And I went in there one day just to have a little look round, and I saw this little number sitting on the shelf. Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. I took my brave pills at the time and thought, well, what have I got to lose? I'd got in my hand a Marillion album, something else by Bon Jovi probably, Guns N' Roses. Oh, I had a bootleg Guns N' Roses CD, Booze. But then this one just caught my eye. I thought, well, it's a couple of quid, in for a penny, in for a pound. So I took it home, and I can still remember the absolute thrill when I listened to Hallowed Be Thy Name. For me, it's still one of their greatest ever songs, but it was the last song on the album. I was liking it a bit more than I thought I would, but then that song, that 7 or 8 minutes right there, was what really made me think, I need to listen to this band again and again and again. And based on that one song, it took me down a whole new path. And suddenly from going from the back of the car saying, oh, I don't like Iron Maiden, I don't think I could ever like something that heavy, I'm lapping it up. I'm loving it. I mean, Hallowed Be Thy Name has got some of the best guitar work, some of the best solos. I love the lyrics, the fast-paced lyrics of it, the despair in it, the angst, the finality of it all. It's just brilliant. Absolutely love it. And it's sent me on a love affair with Iron Maiden ever since. I mean, some of the best gigs I've been to have been Iron Maiden shows. Somewhere Back in Time World Tour, for example, awful seats at Twickenham in London, but still great to be there. The best one has to be Metal 2000, though. I was there with my brother. They'd just released, what was their album called? Brave New World. And the song on there, Blood Brothers. I remember just standing there, linking arm in arm with my brother, listening to this song and thinking, yeah, Iron Maiden is special. And they're still special today, and I might do a piece on them one day, but then everybody has, so maybe you might not be interested in that. But let's move on. The next album is probably the one that you're all expecting me to bring up, because everybody does, and it's this one. That's right, Metallica's Black Album. It was the first Metallica record I heard. I just thought, well, if I like Iron Maiden, let's try Metallica. They're kind of on a par these days as 2 of the biggest bands on the planet, so let's just try them. I picked that up, and it was love at first listen. Right from the get-go, Enter Sandman kicks in, and you're just thinking, yeah, I can live with this. I like this. Obviously now it's been played to death, and I hardly ever listen to that song now. But every time it comes up on an advert or a TV show, I have to smile to myself, because this is the coming of age. This is the point at which I was thinking, right, Iron Maiden in the bank, Metallica now in the bank. I'm a metalhead, and I like it. So that was it. And I mean, there's not one bad song on that album. Okay, it's not a Master of Puppets, it's not Ride the Lightning, but I didn't come to those first. I was too young for those first time round. So I've later discovered them and found out what amazing albums they are. But it was the Black Album that was my entrance into the world of Metallica. And I will love the Black Album until the day I die because of that. I don't listen to it very often anymore, but it's such a special album for me, and always will be. Seen them a couple of times live. A couple of great shows actually. One was better than the other. The Load Tour 1996 was actually my very first gig. I went down with my best mate who I talked about before, who got me into Def Leppard and Skid Row. When I coached, trip down from Suffolk down to London to the was it no, it wasn't the O2, because the O2 wasn't even built then. It was Earls Court. Earls Court 1996. Sat in the Gods and watched the Figure of Eight stage, and heard all the classics. Fantastic. First and last time you'll hear that again. Apologies. So yeah, Metallica. I've always. I mean, I don't like anything from Reload onwards. I don't even like the newer ones, because I just think that they're lacking in some of the melody that was important in the early days. But Metallica are always going to be a special band to me. You can't mention Metallica without their awkward little brother or cousin, Megadeth. Actually, Megadeth these days are much more important to me than Metallica. I've always liked Megadeth. Euthanasia, again, was the first album that I got into, and it has a special place in my heart. It's one of my favourite albums of all time. Yes, it's not as thrashy as the early ones. Yes, it's not as edgy or as urgent. But by hell, there are some great riffs on there. There are some great choruses, some great melodies. I love Dave Mustaine's singing. And it came at the time. They also released a making of documentary, which has a massive soft spot for me. Some of the outtakes and some of the comments by Nick Menza, the drummer that sadly passed away now. Amazing. You're watching them build the studio in Phoenix. Yeah, these are things that stick with me, and that whole vibe around that album, and the whole vibe around the band. I mean, that was for me the period where they were the strongest. And again, it's an album that's got banger after banger after banger. I can, if I start listening to it, I won't stop until it's finished, and I won't skip any tracks, nothing at all. Obviously, as time has gone on, I've liked other albums. Countdown to Extinction, obviously, and some of the earlier ones. Rust in Peace. Oh, yeah, some great stuff. They're probably better albums in terms of the musicality and the songwriting, but it's Euthanasia that sticks with me, because again, it was that gateway into their world. So having gone on record as saying in the past I'm not a massive thrash fan, there's two bands there immediately that are in the thrash genre, or at least were in their early days, and I love them. So there we go. Strangely, this album then came along, Draconian Times. This was the soundtrack to my art GCSE exam. 2 days sitting in a room drawing whatever you wanted based on a loose theme. Heaven as far as I was concerned. So I took in headphones, I just purchased this album, and I just listened to it back to back to back. Again, as with all of them, I seem to hit at this point in time all these bands when they've just released a more melodic, more accessible record. But that's great, because what it meant is that I was eased in gently, and then if I liked them, I could then go and explore back, but then stick with them in the years to come. in Paradise Lost went through that weird phase, which I didn't like particularly much after Draconian Times, where they kind of cut their hair and went a bit goth and a bit The Cure and all that. I didn't like it, but I stuck with them, and the last 2 or 3 records have been outstanding. And I'm looking forward to one they're going to release very soon. But yeah, Draconian Times. It was the melodies. It was the melancholy again. It was just some of the guitar work, the nice riffs in there, some nice meaty guitar stuff, and Nick Holmes' voice. It was rich. It was inviting. It was just so good, and that album got me under its spell. So I've gone from new wave of British heavy metal to thrash to gothic metal, whatever you want to call it. Bit of doomy in there, which leads me on to this beast. You can see that, My Dying Bride, and Like Gods of the Sun. I don't know why I picked it. I think it was because it's on the Peaceful label. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's on the Peaceful label. And so I've been discovering things like Paradise Lost, which again, this was on Music for Nations at the time, but there were those 2 or 3 labels, and Peaceful, it just spoke to me, and the album cover spoke to me, the blue butterfly with the black background. I just took a punt, as you do, and it paid off. For My Fallen Angel, it's probably going to be one of the saddest songs you're ever going to hear. Just the violin and vocals, and it sticks with me. Again, I wouldn't say it's probably my favourite album by My Dying Bride, but it's probably not their best. I mean, other people will talk about the earlier albums, Turn Loose the Swans and all that sort of thing. But for me, it was the mixture of the violin, the melodies, the clean vocals. Again, it was more accessible than the stuff as I've been led to believe now that I've discovered their back catalogue. But yeah, so there we go. My Dying Bride also featured early on in my musical discoveries. They've stuck with me since, and yeah, their new album is just as good as this one, if not even better, maybe with a bit of time. So there we go. That's I've gone now from ELO and Dire Straits and Queen right through to Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, and now we've got Metallica, Iron Maiden, and Paradise Lost in the mix as well. So stick with me because it's a bit fast paced from now on. The bands come thick and fast as I'm spending all my money that I can possibly lay my hands on music. So watch out for the next episode very shortly. But for now, thanks for watching. Man of Much Metal out.